we are mildly interesting guys, and we talk about some stuff. So welcome to the podcast, we call it Joel the Podcast. It's Alex and it's Alex and it's Alex, here for Joel the Podcast. Hello everybody, I'm Alex.
And I'm Alex.
And this is our podcast,
Joel.
Well, today we have a special guest with us. It's Alex here. Alex, say hi to everyone.
Hello.
Okay.
Is that not a good enough hello for you?
She's so enthusiastic right now.
That was good.
Excited.
I just feel like our theme song doesn't make as much sense with 3 Alexes because it only is 2 of us.
I wonder, you know what I can do is like the part where it's like, it's Alex and it's Alex.
Just move that
I'm
part.
just
It's
gonna
Alex
take that
and
section and
Alex
play it again.
and Alex.
Excellent. That's settled.
If you're listening to this podcast and Nathan did that, excellent job, Nathan. I mean, Alex. All right. Well, Alex is gone.
There's like little gags for the intro and things, and I have to like actually edit
Right.
the podcast.
That's why I said if. I wouldn't really blame you if you just did nothing.
Yeah. It's funny enough that I think I will, and it's also like 10 seconds worth of work, most likely.
Well, Alex, our special guest has left, so I guess maybe you don't need to do it.
We are currently making brownies. So they were in the oven. They have been in the oven for 20 minutes. She went to look at them to see if they should stop being in the oven.
Got it. All right. Well, let's get started anyway. We are here.
You can still hear you for the record.
Okay.
I can still hear you.
All right.
Excellent. All right. So, first, we should obviously start off with our weekly reminder that Nathan no longer owes me $1.
That's correct.
Second off, so we actually, I don't know if you noticed this, but I realized Wednesday of this week that last weekend we just didn't podcast.
Yes, that's correct.
Which will make it harder for us to end up on 25 in a few weeks here.
We'll have to, between now and then we'll have to work in an extra one.
We'll have to work in 2 extras.
Well, when we go on tour on November 1st through 3rd, our one destination is Purdue. We are hoping to make that our 25th episode special.
Yeah.
So
The problem is, at the rate we're going, 1 per week between now and then, we would hit 24. And since we missed last week, we're now going to hit 23. So our plan all along was to do a brief podcast while we're driving between the airport and Purdue, just to have a 24th one. And then now that we missed one, I suppose we could maybe do 2 during that time, or more likely we can find a special time sometime to do another special edition.
Bonus edition.
That would probably be more interesting for us instead of like doing 2 back-to-back very short podcasts.
We'll just do episode 23 is just like 3 hours of car ride uninterrupted. And episode 24 is like 5 seconds of us being like, I'm Alex and I'm Alex and this is our podcast, Joel. All right, that was great. I'm Alex and I'm Alex and this is
Oh man.
No, the whole episode is just one joke, and it's, hey, you want to hear something even funnier than 24? And then the podcast just ends.
It ends right there.
And then the beginning of 25.
We should do that. That should be our 24.
All right.
That does mean that if we want to do something actually interesting on the car ride as well, we could make that 23.
Right.
I don't know. So we'll have to decide.
Yeah.
We'll discuss it.
So you're probably, after this experience so far, you're probably not interested in ever coming back to the podcast.
He's considering just leaving in the middle of this one.
I've got to go put the brownies back in the oven.
I'm going to go check on the brownies for another 40 minutes. I'll be right back.
I actually, so on the drive here yesterday, it was a 6-hour drive. And I didn't start it until 6 Central. So I ended up getting here at 2 a.m. Eastern.
Oof.
Which was rough.
It was
we'll have to think about alternate ways to do that for next time. But I was just playing music from my phone the whole drive down, and I had 2 different episodes of our podcast come up. And I listened to both of them in their entirety because, of course I did.
Yeah.
And I was interesting partway through the second episode. It's just listening to us talk, which seems really strange. And it wasn't that interesting from an outside perspective.
Hold on a second. Let's go back for you to say it's just listening to us talk, which doesn't sound that interesting.
What?
That's literally her point. Is we've produced 20 hours of content of just us talking, and you just said it's not that interesting.
So I suppose what I mean is that if you're not already invested in us as people, some of the discussions we have might, for example, this wasn't the episode I listened to, but I do remember discussing.
Time to get up.
All right, and this has been Alex. We'll try having a guest again sometime. This time it clearly didn't work out.
Maybe we should try having someone who wants to be on the podcast.
Who wants to be on the podcast, though?
Oh, I know who wants to be on it.
Who wants to be on it?
David Lim. I bet you can get him to be a real.
That's actually correct. We should, we should let him know that if he wants to be an official guest member, he can contribute in some way in advance to help us with content, All right. Back to my original point. I listened to us talk for over 2 hours of my 6-hour car ride.
Uh-huh.
And you know how some people don't like listening to their own voice?
Yeah.
On when it's recorded? I didn't find that to be an issue at all.
Yeah, I think I've gotten used to my speaking voice just from listening to our podcast.
Yeah, I don't know if I was ever I definitely don't think I sound the same recorded as I do when I'm just talking normally.
Yeah.
But I don't dislike it. I think you're right. I probably did just get used to it.
The real worst thing for me is listening to old recordings of myself, when I was in middle school and stuff.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
We have a whole bunch of family videos.
Oh, they have a ton. It's all on Google Cloud.
Yeah, my family has a lot of them too, but they're all on discs.
Right. Well, ours are all on discs, but they have them all easily accessible at 5 seconds. We were in Huntsville. One of the evenings that Nathan was visiting with us, they just played all of them for me. And
they drove 9 hours to see me, and then we just watched the home videos. I was working at NASA at the time, and we sat at the Airbnb and watched home videos instead of touring the.
We toured on other days, but
we did do some.
That was
stuff,
one of the evening activities. Let's watch little Nathan.
Sorry.
It's okay. Little Nathan and little Andrew.
Yep.
That sounds like an extremely good use of your time, I just want to say.
Apparently they thought so.
They were loving it. I was like.
I mean, they are very we were very entertaining children. So, we put out tons of great content. Let me say we were.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised that we ended up podcasting because I'm a natural at this sort of stuff.
I do have one question though. How many subscribers did you get from your from when you were entertaining children?
Ooh,
0, right?
It was 0. We didn't post the videos to YouTube. Yeah.
Well,
shame.
was YouTube even a thing at the time?
I think so.
When they were recorded?
When did YouTube start? Like 2005?
Ish, probably. I don't know. I know. Let's see.
So I've definitely been alive longer than YouTube has been around. Mm-hmm. So certainly a good deal of probably the majority of the videos actually were made before YouTube, because after I was like 10 or 11, I don't think, because I was like in middle school, I don't think we made like home videos anymore, right?
Right.
Like maybe of my brother, because he's 6 years younger, so like, still at that point in life where parents want to document everything that's going on,
my mom's still
kindergarten graduation. But yeah, after about 11 or 12, my accomplishments stopped being so notable. I haven't really done anything since then, to be honest.
Well, what about this podcast?
Aside from this, I mean, we're obviously documenting this constantly.
Right. This is already being recorded.
This is the only part of my life that's recorded publicly anymore.
All right. So back to the actual podcast.
Right.
So we'll stick with a quick Philadelphia sports update here.
Uh-huh.
Since the last podcast, the Phillies. So I don't know if you remember the last time I said the Phillies played the Nationals 5 games in a row, and they had to win all of them to have a chance, right?
Right.
And they lost every single game. So
I sent him a week and a half ago or so. I don't know. Wasn't important.
That's about right.
I was watching the episode where he was talking about that, because I was I was doing some editing before I posted it. Mm-hmm. As he was saying that they were like close to elimination or had to win all their games or something like that, I saw a post on the sports Reddit for Philadelphia that they had been mathematically eliminated from the playoff. Like they had no chance anymore at that point. It was really great timing, pretty funny. I sent him the screenshot of it.
Yeah.
Yep. Phillies are out.
Yep. But the Eagles did win on Thursday, which was a surprise to me.
Yeah.
And
who were they playing?
They played the Packers.
Okay.
So, and hopefully they have an easy week this week with the Jets. So things are looking up. And also the Cowboys lost, which was excellent.
It's still anybody's game. Nobody's running out of time yet.
You see any of the Purdue game today?
I did not see any of the Purdue game, but I did look at the box score afterwards. And let me tell you, if we hadn't have played the first quarter at all, that was a pretty good game.
Yeah. So
terrible.
I actually watched almost the entire game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the first quarter was extremely depressing.
Yeah.
But not far off from what I expected. But then the defense really stepped it up.
I honestly, after the first, I saw right after the game began that we had not good drive, and then they were basically a few plays had made it most of the way down the field. It was inevitable that they were about to score. I was expecting to be just absolutely blown out. So I'm pretty pleased, honestly, with how close we managed to keep it after that first bit there.
Although I do have one thing to say, which was a Purdue defender caught a pass before a Purdue offensive player.
That right there is, I mean, to be fair, our starting quarterback is out for the season. Our star receiver is out for the game. We weren't throwing out our best onto the field, but you would expect that, we have a little bit of depth.
Yep.
I don't know. Team's young. We'll get there soon. Shout out to Jeff Brom.
Dude, from watching the broadcast, you would think that Nick Holt who's the defensive coordinator. You would think he's the coach, because they showed him like way more than they showed Jeff Brom.
I think it's shadowing something.
I think it's just because he looks angrier, and that's more interesting to show.
I hope we can keep some consistent coaching staff going. I don't think we're in a bad place. We're just currently unlucky with injuries and whatnot. I think given a season or two, we're headed in the right direction.
All right. So that is the Philadelphia Sports / Purdue Sports update.
Yep.
So let's get started for the actual podcast. So as our loyal listeners will know, Shelby's didn't know that it would take 15 minutes to get to the actual podcast. No, this is usual.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes more.
I mean, this feels kind of quick to be going through the beginning bits.
Maybe we should stall a little bit longer.
No, I think if we want to have any chance of her actually finishing it out, we better steamroll through the rest of this real quick.
All right. So for our loyal listeners, you know that we have sort of made our podcast a steady steal questions from Ask Reddit and talk about them. So we're going to do that again today. So here is the first question. If you were transported back to medieval times, what would your job be?
Does it need to be historically accurate, or can I just overthrow the patriarchy?
That's an interesting point. Yeah.
I think you would have some trouble with that. But your job can be professional rabble rouser.
She's just gonna cause trouble.
I mean,
yeah, because otherwise this is a pretty uninteresting question for you, I think.
See, the thing is, I feel like for all three of us, our knowledge, like that we've acquired to have jobs, nowadays is pretty useless in terms of jobs that we would get in medieval times.
Yeah, I think
I would not probably be able to work in healthcare in medieval times.
Well, so here's the thing, though. I mean, even basic knowledge from today might be helpful in medieval times. Right. You might be ahead of doctors in medieval times just from knowing what germs are.
Yeah.
I think that's true to a certain extent, but as far as actually practicing medicine, I'm pretty clueless.
You are, but I bet you would know that the correct treatment for someone having the cold is not bloodletting, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, but no one else would believe you.
Yeah.
So it'd really be a matter of you could take care of yourself, but no one else is going to listen to you. So you'd just be having a better time than everyone else and being alive and not sick.
Right.
But you couldn't really, you couldn't really help anybody else. You'd just be better for you, but.
I was about to say that I feel like one of the skills that I have that would translate directly to medieval times is making food. I'm not particularly great at making food. I think I'm okay. Right?
That's a very interesting choice that you would go with making food.
But what are the rest of my skills? Physics, that's pretty useless.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
times. And
inventing stuff, designing things, woodworking, metalworking, that's very relevant to medieval times.
I think you're correct.
You could invent all the stuff that they don't have yet. You could get really rich.
I don't think I could, because I depend so heavily on what exists to do. Given computers exist, I can make some cool stuff, right? But I have no idea how to make a computer.
Right.
There's no way you could do that.
And I would argue that the same thing is similarly true when it comes to food.
That's
the
exactly
stuff you know how to make, okay, you can go to the store and buy, chicken and, bread and things like that you cook with, but you can't just do that in medieval times.
Right. I was even my pancake recipe, which I make from I don't use the box pancake mix. I
from scratch.
Make pancakes from scratch, but I don't know what baking powder is. I buy baking powder at the store.
Right.
That's baking powder. It's baking soda, but I don't even know what that is.
It's some variation of like sodium bicarbonate.
Yeah.
But as to how you would make that,
yeah, you put this other stuff in there. I just don't know how to like.
I don't think medieval times is advanced enough for that.
No, for that reason, I think I would do some sort of like menial manual labor because I'm not.
That's what I was thinking this whole time while you were discussing this. Like the real sad answer is that we would all just be, well, you and I would be like laborers in a field somewhere, and Shelby would just be like a seamstress or housewife or whatever women did at the time.
Right. Probably seamstress or something else. But ideally, I would like to be in a position where I can be seamstress / typical medieval woman job by day, and then go into female version of Robin Hood as my other occupation.
Here, if all of us were like simultaneously transported to medieval times, I think as a group we might be able to do pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, not great. We wouldn't do anything more interesting than the things we just said.
Right.
But like,
what's interesting? Go ahead.
Probably need to keep a low profile in terms of our futuristic knowledge, because I feel like we could very easily be like
witch.
Yeah. And then friends of the witch.
Yeah.
/ similar witch-like people.
We might just be killed.
Yeah, we might just get murdered.
Or we might just die because like vaccines
aren't a thing, so
well, we have vaccines.
Sick.
Huh?
We already have vaccines.
Yeah, for the stuff there is now. But
right, but if it doesn't, there's stuff that existed then that doesn't exist now.
Yeah.
We could die of smallpox.
I think we'd be better off. No.
Do we have smallpox vaccine?
I feel like that's the reason we don't have smallpox as a science.
So we all automatically get smallpox vaccines?
I think you're right. The thing is, I think we would actually kill more people by bringing stuff that doesn't exist then than we would actually be in danger of. Not that we wouldn't be in danger, but like, I feel like a lot of people would get stuff that we had that didn't exist back then.
I think it would, like, overall, there's not very many positives to going back to medieval times.
In fact, I can't think of a single one.
Right.
Yeah, unless you would just automatically become someone who's like within royalty or something, or like a lord or a.
Even then, I don't think their lives were that great.
But they're better than the manual labor.
Yes, you are correct. For the time, they were well off, but like.
Yeah.
I today live a better life than literally any person.
Well, yes. But that's not the question. The question is if you were transported. It's not saying do you want to be transported, because everyone would say no.
No, of course not. If you actually think about it, this is a terrible idea.
But if you had no choice, if you were going to be transported, but they were like, hold on, before you go, pick your job.
Yeah.
Then you would want to be a high-ranking, like.
Oh, you know what? Actually, I think we should just become. Like religious people.
Oh, monks, because we
read and write.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's actually something that I overlooked at first. Is we are just by virtue of like being able to read, we are way smarter than literally.
No, but they might come after me for being able to read.
Yeah, you just pretend you can't read. The thing is, I don't know if we can read and write. I don't know if what we can read and write is exactly the same as what was being read and written
in medieval times.
Medieval times.
That's a good point.
You may not be able to read any of it.
No, guys, I swear I can read.
In fact, we might not even be able to talk to them.
Yeah. This question's a real bummer. I don't like it. Turns out we suck at everything.
All right.
In regards to medieval times.
Then let's move on to the next question. This one is much better. Good. So instead of being transported to medieval times, your mind is transported back to your body in 2005. So you have all the knowledge and memories that you have now, but you're in
2005.
So what would you do in that scenario?
Oh, that comes into one of those things where like, do you want to change events that you know about that could have repercussions that you don't consider, you know?
Yeah.
Like if you were to go back in time, even like as a full person, not just your brain, but you know, and then you know stuff that's going to happen in the future, but the ripple effect could be such that if you stop this event from happening, then it could mess something else up, and then, ugh.
This question may also just be depressing.
This is a bummer for me.
School would be a lot easier.
School would be a lot easier, but I don't know that would be such a good thing, right? Like, I don't.
Well, then you become like a child prodigy, and then.
Maybe. I don't know, that'd be kind of funny, right? I was, in 2005, I was 9 years old. If I could, like...
We were all 9 years old.
Huh?
Weren't we all 9 years old?
You were not.
I mean, I was 8 for most of 2005.
Well,
I was also 8 for most of it, but... Okay.
You want to pick the part where you were 9, because you want to be 9, while Alex and I are 8. Okay.
If we go to... What is today? October, whatever it is. 2000...
Oh, wait. It was your birthday a couple days ago.
Yeah, it was.
I totally forgot. Happy birthday. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, since Alex is not... I didn't want to, like, bring it up on the podcast if Alex didn't remember, because that would have been kind of awkward.
I'm really sorry. I completely forgot.
This is the first podcast ever where we have been... I don't want to say different ages because that's not really accurate, but like not the same number of years old when asked that question.
You could just say different ages and everyone would know what you meant.
Everyone knows, but like it's not actually correct. We're always different ages.
Well, yeah, if you were measuring age down to like days and months. You're not always
okay.
You know, there are periods.
Clearly, I overthought.
Significant figures, Nathan. You should know as a scientist.
Okay, well, that seems to be a fun fact, which I thought of on my birthday, as I knew we were going to be podcasting between my birthday and your birthday.
Yes.
Yeah. So
anyway,
so thank you
go back
for
to what you were saying.
If the what I was trying to say was if we went back to October, whatever it is, 6th?
5th.
Today's October 5th, 2005, I was 9, you guys were 8. There you go. That's all I meant. And so the actual age I said wasn't that important. I just thought it would have been funny if as an 8/9-year-old, I like demonstrated knowledge of advanced math and physics to some adult.
Yeah.
So you would do that. You wouldn't like try to hide that you knew that much?
Oh no, I would definitely hide it. Well, would I? That's so hard to decide because
then you'd get a lot of publicity, and then you'd have to deal with
you'd
all
become
of that
famous.
as an
you could
9-year-old. Sorry, you wouldn't be 9.
I would.
You made this bad point, so now I'm gonna badger you about it in this conversation.
All right.
Well, clearly you feel very strongly about being 9, while the rest of us are 8.
I think if I were to reveal that I, as a 9-year-old, had effectively a college education without officially having had it, I could like get accepted into college fairly early at a very prestigious. I don't mean like as a 9-year-old, but like
as a 14.
You've heard of people who went to college when they were like 15, 16,
right.
14.
Yes.
Something like
that. What?
Why would you do you want to wait until you're like
15
or 16?
I think it would be better to wait. But by the time you were that age, hopefully I wouldn't just stagnate at my current level of knowledge. I could like improve my knowledge in the fields that I'm already proficient in. I could get accepted to very prestigious universities and set myself up for success.
True, but if you did that, you would never meet me or Shelby.
Yeah, you wouldn't meet me.
Unless you guys also.
In this scenario, you're the only one.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be. But you would just all you would do then is just try and do exactly what you did. I think that would be no fun. Because I like how my life is now.
Right.
So having to go back to 2005 and then for 14 years try really hard not to change anything.
Yeah.
So that I could end up in the same.
I think that you don't have to try really hard not to change anything. You just don't have to change anything major. Don't skip any grades. Go to the same college, but you know, obviously your school is definitely still going to be a lot easier. The real hard part would probably just be not getting 100% on everything up until you got to high school.
Yeah.
But there's certain mistakes that definitely I would just fix. This is somewhat embarrassing, but when I was in I guess I was in 9th grade at the time.
Yeah.
And I'm the type of person, I'm still this type of person. More so, I was this type of person back then, where I'm like the kid who wants to raise their hand for every question, and I would impulsively just say answers out loud, and my teacher got pissed off at me, and she was like, if you say out the answer out loud one more time, you can teach the next lesson.
Oh.
Of course, I could not control myself, and I did. And so I had to teach piecewise functions to my fellow class of 9th grade students, which was extremely stressful because now piecewise functions are easy, but at the time, I really did not understand them at all because I only had a weekend to try and read a textbook on them.
Oh.
It was rough, so I would definitely not do that.
Yeah.
Well, would you not do it, or would you just do it really well?
Right. What if you crushed piecewise functions?
What?
I said, what if you were to do it, you would be able to crush teaching piecewise functions and be really good.
That's an interesting point.
Your teacher would be like, well.
Yeah, they'd be really impressed.
This punishment.
Just finish the lesson. F you, Mrs. Wallach. Mrs. Wallach, if you're listening to this, I did not mean that.
Yeah, I mean, on the surface, it seems like you could do a lot of really interesting stuff, but honestly, I think this question would be better suited for somebody who didn't like their current position.
Yeah.
The thing is, you could also do other big things that wouldn't necessarily you could bet on things that would happen, and you wouldn't have to use that money, but you could save up a decent amount of money and be pretty wealthy.
Well, but I feel like that could have effects that you don't think of, I don't know, if you get well known for making all these bets that you somehow always win. And,
that's true.
I think you've just got to bet a modest amount of money one time on something really unlikely that happened between, if you just kind of waited around until I forget what. Well, yeah, no, that's actually a really good one.
Yeah. Cubs win the World Series.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you just wait until the 2016 season, at the beginning of the season, I bet their odds weren't that good. If you put down let's see, I probably reasonably could have, if I knew to save for that event, I probably could have put $5,000 on it, you know? And the payout wouldn't have been like ridiculous, but it would have been pretty good. I'd be in a slightly nicer situation there.
Yeah, I'm looking up the odds right now. This website is not good.
Really enjoying the music.
Yeah.
Background. Can you hear the music?
I cannot hear the music.
Turn that up then. Yeah. We gotta get this on the pod.
All right. While you look this up, we're just gonna.
The Cubs opened as 10-1 odds to win the World Series.
Oh, really? That's a lot better than I was expecting.
Well, you would have $50,000.
Oh.
I honestly yeah, that's a good amount of money, but I was not expecting them to be only 10-1. I thought it was going to be like.
I mean, the thing is, it wasn't like the Cubs were a bad team that somehow won the World Series. They were a good team.
Yeah.
It was just a big deal because they had never hadn't won the World Series in over 100 years.
I suppose it's the difference between like betting against Vegas, who actually like properly sets odds, and betting against just a guy who's like, the Cubs aren't going to win. The Cubs never win.
Right.
Yeah, clearly the odds setters were, you know.
I feel like the biggest one would be if at the beginning of the 2007 season you bet on the Giants to win the Super Bowl.
That would have been a good one.
I'm sure that would have been a much bigger payout.
I bet you could find decent odds on the Patriots going undefeated and then losing the Super Bowl.
Oh, that's a pretty specific bet. I don't know if you'd be able to find someone to take that bet.
I'm not certain either, and you would look a bit suspicious when it happened. But yeah, just straight up betting on the Giants is probably a good one. I'm curious. I don't think we should look this up. It'd probably take way too long. But if the Giants' odds were worse at the beginning of the season, or like somewhere in the middle of the season where they were like, you know,
even
10-6. I don't know what their record was in the middle, but when they weren't doing like great, right? And the Patriots were undefeated.
Actually, I'm looking at this, and even going into the game, the Giants were plus 475 to win. They were 12-point underdogs, which means that for every $100 you bet, you would win $475 if you were right.
Right. So the odds are good, clearly. Like, you would definitely place that bet now, but like.
I mean, the thing is, 2007, I was pretty young. I probably wouldn't have that much money.
Yeah, the problem is we're getting dumped back in 2005. So having just 2 years to save up a bet with no income because you're 9.
Plus, you're 9, so you can't bet.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to.
And I don't think I could talk my parents into betting on sports like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think I would have had to wait for the Cubs, because then I was in college. I at least had some income for a couple of years. I could have done it without my parents' knowledge. So let's see. In 2016, do you have to be like 18 or 21 or something to place bets?
I think you do.
Definitely have to be at least 18.
I was 18, but not yet 21. So
you definitely have to be at least 18 because you have to be 18 to gamble. So.
Right. Can you hear the music now? I don't know if I heard you answer.
I can vaguely hear something. I definitely wouldn't have been able to say that it was music unless you said that.
All right. Oh, where buttons?
Oh, it's Mario music. Now I can hear it.
Yes.
When you called, we were in the middle of playing Super Smash Bros. Melee on Nathan's new computer.
Oh.
So
I saw you holding the GameCube controller, so I figured you were playing Smash.
Yeah.
Melee.
I got several ROMs from David. He gave me a couple of Zelda games and this, and a couple other GameCube games. So we've just been listening to this music quietly the entire time we've been talking. Right. Figured it only fair to share it with you.
I appreciate it, and all the listeners appreciate it.
Yes, I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
And now we're gonna get sued for copyright infringement.
Oh,
that's
if we don't want to be demonetized.
We do not own this music. Please do not sue us.
If you're listening to this, Nintendo, I'm sorry. I also legally purchased this game.
Oh.
And it's running on a legally purchased GameCube. All right. Let's go to the last question.
Yep.
You get $1 every time you mildly inconvenience someone. What do you do to maximize your monetary gain?
I'm sorry. Say the beginning of that question again.
Yeah, you get $1 every time you mildly inconvenience someone. What do you do to maximize your gains?
What counts as a mild inconvenience?
Here's what I would do. Maybe this will help answer your question.
Huh? Like when someone holds a door open for you, like that's a polite thing to do, but it is also like a mild inconvenience to them.
I see.
They could just be going through the door and just ignore you completely.
I suppose that's true. I was thinking you had to like negatively impact them in some way, but like when they're being polite, that's not really negative.
I know, but it is an inconvenience.
I get what you're saying though. Here's my answer that I came up with. Mm-hmm. I would hang out in a grocery store parking lot, and anytime people put the carts in little cart return things, I would just take them out and put them in a parking spot somewhere. Someone is guaranteed to be inconvenienced by that at some point. And what are the odds that somebody's gonna like catch me and punish me?
Some grocery store parking lots do have security cameras, so you'd have to.
That's not a bad answer. I feel like you can be more efficient with your time if you go to like a mall and just like go into various stores and just move stuff around to different shelves, just like arbitrarily.
Just walk through a mall and like grab things from the shelf and put them down on the floor.
Yeah, or even to a different part in the shelf. Yeah.
I think you would just want to move it to a different shelf.
Well, I don't think it's about being obvious. I think it's about doing the literal easiest thing possible.
But when it's obvious, then they will figure out that you're doing it and come after you.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So you also need to not get caught. You're right.
Well, you could easily not get caught if you do it in like big stores.
Yeah.
If you're in smaller stores, then it's harder. You would want to go to a big mall. That would.
Go to a really big mall and just like. Yeah, just mess with stuff a little bit inside the store.
I was gonna tell Katie about when she might want to come to have cheese, but we can talk about that.
It's a good plan. No, I wasn't like looking disapprovingly. I was just curious.
It seemed like you were.
No, I was just curious what was going on.
Yeah.
I feel like you could do a similar thing at like your job. Like, like walk by coworkers' desks and just like put stuff on the ground while they're not looking.
Yeah, that's true. I do think so. It's $1 per inconvenience, right? Not per person or anything like that.
That's right.
So like really annoying the one shop worker versus very mildly annoying lots of employees somewhere. That makes no difference about your dollars.
Right, but I feel like if you do too much, like if you messed a store up too much, it becomes more than just a mild inconvenience. It becomes like a big issue.
So like if you go too far, you don't get $1 anymore.
But like if you just tip over a clothing rack, that's not a mild inconvenience. That's a big issue.
Right. Interesting. You
know what? A grocery store is another place you could easily. I feel like you could just incorporate mildly inconveniencing people into like everything you do.
You probably can. I think there's a lot of ways that you could like slightly unoptimize things just as you go about your routine.
If someone's holding the door for you, just walk really slowly.
Yeah, just go a little bit slower, or maybe like don't even do anything at all, because if by Shelby's thinking, that's just
right.
inconveniencing them.
Would that count as a mild inconvenience, but there's not a negative connotation to it?
Right.
Right. I mean, the way I interpreted it is it has to be something that's like if someone's just holding the door for you, they're voluntarily doing that. And I don't, like, if I hold the door for someone, I don't really feel like I'm inconvenienced.
You're holding the door, watch the person walk through, and you're like, what a jerk. This horrible person.
Right, unless they, like, walk really slowly, or, like, I'm thinking just, like, walk up to the door and then just turn around so that person's going to hold it the whole time, and then you don't even go through. Like, that would, like, I'm not sure the best way to, like, describe what I'm saying, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think
driving the speed limit.
Yeah, that's man. Having just driven quite a bit yesterday, that I feel that. All of these, I get so frustrated with people on drives when I have to go a long way.
Yep.
People do dumb things.
Yeah, I know.
It's not even that bad, generally. It's just like, I would have done something slightly differently from what you're doing right now, so you are a terrible human being.
My aunt is the same way. We'll be like driving someone who's going the speed limit, like 35 on a 35, and she'll be like, is this person mentally challenged?
That's terrible.
My aunt is for the most part a wonderful person. I just wanted to say that. It's just like certain situations.
I do feel obligated to say that within the healthcare profession, we frown upon that use of phrasing mightily. But the joke, I understand the joke, and it is funny. But
it's
only
just that
added to by
from
that.
This one data point, your aunt is literally the worst person I know.
Because
is it the same aunt that came to dinner with us around graduation, or is this a different aunt?
I think it's the same one.
All right, so I do actually know this person. Yeah.
She's very.
She did seem nice.
She's very nice.
Yes. Pretty fun. Like I definitely, hearing that story, I definitely can say that comes from like a humorous place, not a
malicious.
Like, malicious. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
You should be on podcasts with us all the time. You're so helpful. This has been a great episode. I think this has been one of the better episodes.
All right. Well, those are my all my serious questions.
All right.
Yeah.
I do have one joke question if you want to hear it.
Sure, let's hear it.
When is the best time to tell your cat or dog that they are adopted?
I want to say they know already. I don't think
they're like, I have seen you and I have seen other dogs, and I don't think you were a dog.
I don't think that they think that we are biologically related.
Right. Yeah, that was go ahead.
I think I've seen, I don't know if this is true or just like one of those like joke things you see on the internet, you know? I feel like I've seen a study of some sort that certain pets view us kind of the same way we view them.
Oh, I read a little thing the other day that was super duper cute, where it was saying someone had typed into Google, why does my like dog hit me when I'm petting it?
Yeah.
You know, like with its paws. And one of the things that came up was so when your pet like is hitting you or pawing at you while you're petting it,
yeah,
in some studies that's been found to be their way of petting you back. Like, even though they aren't like stroking you like you would stroke and pet a dog, they're just hitting you. But because they can't really do the stroking motion, but like that's them like petting you back.
Yes, now.
And I don't know how scientifically valid that thing is, but I really hope it's true.
I mean, the majority of us seem to have heard this, so it clearly must be a fact.
I'm pretty sure that's how facts work, right?
Right, yeah. The majority of people here has agreed on something. And
that's how I've heard facts work, at least.
Yes, I have also heard that, so that is a fact.
That must be a fact.
Makes it a fact. Yeah, no, I feel like there is some element of that, right? Like I don't think that I'm not an expert here, but it does seem like pets kind of have some grasp that we are not the same thing as them. My question then becomes, do they understand like that reproduction always results in like another set of the same sort of thing?
Right.
I think they do.
Like, could they in their pet mind be thinking like, we're different, but they're still my parents?
You know? I don't think they would view us as parents. Yeah. I don't think, because unless they like are absorbing and understanding our system of like family human culture.
Yeah.
Like, because who do we know if any animals see their biological parents, like if they call them parents, you know? Like there are some species of animals that after they're born, they don't have anything to do with their biological parents ever again.
Yeah.
I think that's a thing for like lions. I want to say the male lions, after they grow to a certain age, they like leave the mom's pride and then they just go create their own pride and don't have anything to do with the family ever again. Which I know because last year Simone and I watched a large part of a lion documentary on the I think it was Animal Planet, or maybe it was Discovery Channel that was on, and it was pretty cool.
Did you watch the lion's share of the documentary?
All right, I think we need to end the podcast on that note.
On a high note is what you're saying, right?
On that note.
On a high note. We're all in agreement.
On that note.
I think the majority of people here are saying on that note, which makes that the fact.
Right. I'm inferring that when you say on that note, you mean on a high note because we all agree that joke was funny.
Well...
Do you not agree with that? My feelings won't be hurt, I promise.
I mean, it's not the worst pun I've heard.
That's like, you think it's funny. All right, let's end it on that high note. I'm Alex.
I'm Alex. Thank you to our special guest, Alex.
And this has been
Joel.